Thanks. So guys, hello. We start our weekly GraphQL sync up. Misha Cotto will be absent today. He, like many others of our guys, is on his way home from Magento Live Barcelona. And I share agenda. 1 minute, please. So our first presenter is Alex Lizun. During this week, we made a global refactoring on customer model. We add processing of different cases like email already exists, or if you provide wrong password, so on. And Alex will demonstrate the result of this work.
Yep, good. Then I'll start to share my screen also. Second. Hi guys, so today I'll show you client journey account mutations. There was pull request done a long time ago, and then it was refactored several times. And during the last days, Valery made like full refactor of the stuff. I'm even not sure that it's now currently my pull request or not, or not. So, but still. At least I can show you what was done, how it works now. So hope you see my screen. That's the name of mutation journey where changed now is called update customer and had input parameters here. And I, for example, will start from something smaller. So if you want to update the first name and last name of our account, so that's how the call looks currently. And if you'll do it, you can generate also add here last name to be delivered back. And yep, so that's like the basic case, very simple one, and you want to update your first name and last name. There are also like more complex cases. So generally this call allows you to update first name, last name, email, subscription. Yep, those 4 fields. As you know, in Magento, if you want to update your email, you have to provide your password. So if I will try to do something like, okay, I have this one. So we'll add some other email there. Then I'll get an error message that for changing email address you have to provide your current password. So then let's try to provide password, which I guess this one, but let's do it's wrong. And if my password is wrong, I get another message, which is the password doesn't match this account, verify the password and try again. And finally, I'll try to use the correct one. Yep, and my email was updated. I can just wait, do it here. Yep, you see here the correct email address. I also will show you, where was it? It was here. So that's the email that was with a dot in the middle now, and now it's without. So let's just make a short view of the updating first name and last name that it also works correctly. Here it is. And the last one was is subscription to newsletter. So I have currently, I subscribed, and if I'll make this call, then it's have to unsubscribe me. A little bit slower. Hello, wake up. Yep, I guess, yep, here it was updated to false, and I guess here also it was updated to false. From code perspective, if you make this one more time, then the subscription will not be touched. So technically it's not unsubscribing you the second time, it's checking, it's validating if you already unsubscribed, then it's not doing anything. Yeah, and one more case, for example, if I'll try to change my email, which is with correct password, but I will use some email which is already presented in the system. I guess this one. Then I get another error message that the customer with the same email address already exists in the associated website. So that's generally currently what this mutation is doing. And yes, there's additional info, the return of this mutation that's a customer object. So you generally can expect not only those fields there, but all fields which are related to your customer. Like you see, like here an example I added here, like default bid and group ID, which is not presented in this call, but they're also available for fetching back. Yeah, that's all then. If you have any questions, then feel free.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good. Looks good.
Ah, good.
Thank you. Only one notice from my side. We also need to make some changes in this code because the request was merged, but we still have some code review changes. And we are going to create separate pull request and provide some changes in this code related to messages, related to some code style, and so on.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next point, Ronak, Alex, could you stop share your screen?
Yep, doing it now. Yep.
Because I'm going to share mine. In scope of working on ticket show only active CMS blocks and page, we have got one question, very quick question. Misha Kotov is missing today, but maybe Alex Paliarush can share opinions. For example, we have some disabled block, we have some enabled block, and we provide some identifier for not existing blocks, some wrong identifier. So now we have a message like the CMS blocks with no existing block that does not exist. But what is proper behavior? Do we need, in this case, ignore disabled and existed block and provide clear result only for active blocks? For example, if I query this request, I will have got this result, only enabled block. Or we need something like data for active blocks and also some block with errors, like disabled block cannot present.
Yeah, I suppose we should, like in GraphQL in general, you should always return whatever you can return. And then you should also provide list of errors if there are any. So I believe like you show on your screen, this is how it should behave. Like when you turn active block and then you give errors about inactive and non-existent block.
Do you know, can we do it via Webonics current implementation, put data with errors in one request?
Yes. Yes, yeah, we actually do it. Like any exceptions that happen right now, let's say you can actually just check, and we do it. And
because Ronak tried to do this, and looks like he says he had some errors. Okay, I will communicate with him again, and we will change our behavior according to the state. So thank you. And our final point, it will be from Alex Paliarush about cache with warning.
Okay, so I'm going to show you prototype. So this is not complete implementation, or it's like not clean code, but this is prototype, and we are just trying to find a way to enable query caching with Varnish. And there are multiple ways how we can implement it, and that's why it is not very straightforward, basically prototype. And the main idea is that we have some cache enabled similar to page cache for HTML that we have right now on storefront, that will have similar cache for GraphQL queries. And Just to recap, actually we discussed it previously, but just to recap, it's not possible to have cache for post requests enabled without adding module for Varnish, and that's why this is not an option for us, because we don't want to introduce new dependencies. And that's why it is making sense to just enable get queries for GraphQL. It is not prohibited by specification, so there should be no issues from that side. And after that, we also need to think about query length limit. But in this case, I believe it is also not a problem, because all queries will be sent usually programmatically, and they will be generated programmatically. And limitation of about 2,000 characters usually exists on browser side. Since we are not going to send these requests manually from browser, it should be fine. Also, we are not going to restrict access for post requests, because the tools like GraphQL, I don't think they support get queries, and you cannot do that, I believe. That's why we still need to have support for post requests, but post requests will not be cached. Yeah, so that is like one of points. Then also we are trying to make it as non-invasive as possible, and we try to leverage existing Varnish infrastructure as much as possible. That's why we do not introduce any new tags or like cache tags, or we try to avoid modifications to Varnish VCL and make it seamless if you want to enable it for GraphQL. If you already had it configured for your HTTP, just regular HTML pages and over HTTP, so then it should also work for GraphQL HTTP queries. And also we have some tricky scenarios. Probably we will add more scenarios here, but like one of the tricky scenarios, let's say if you have products query which contains list of category assignments. In this case, if you, let's say, modify the category to which this product is assigned, product query cache should also be invalidated. On the other hand, if you don't have categories requested in specific GraphQL query, category modification should not affect the cache of that product query. And this is one of tricky parts, because actually I will probably skip like why is it tricky, but just keep in mind. So now I'm going to show you probably quick demo. So I should have Postman somewhere here, and you can see that now I have actually get query, and this part I will just copy it and show where it came from. So I'll just paste it here and say the code, and you can see that this is just regular query which is URL encoded. It is just a request for products without filters, so it will basically be like 20 products and couple attributes requested from that product. So what you do, you just URL encode your query, your JSON GraphQL query, and you put it as query argument, get query argument. And we send this query, and you can take a look at this time, like which it takes. So obviously it cannot be served by Magento like in this time. So this is with Varnish enabled right now. And I have not done any modifications to Varnish VCL, so this is like standard Magento Varnish VCL for now. We will probably have to improve our cache key generation, but I mean, for now, for prototype purposes, it's fine. Now let me just go to admin panel and show that cache will be invalidated. As I said, that query returns first 20 products. So if I modify any of those first 20 products, the cache should be invalidated. If I modify any other products, it should stay intact. So I'm looking at the first product, and I will modify the content of the description. And I save this product. I have update on save mode, so it should be updated immediately. And now I send this query, and you can see it takes like 700 milliseconds, and means it was generated by PHP. And the subsequent query takes like 7 milliseconds. Now, when I try to modify product out of scope of this query, it should be, let's say, product 21. It should not invalidate the cache. Or say it doesn't matter which product, it should not be just in that range. I just know that I have products 1 to 20 in the response. And again, I save this product and I perform this query again. And it looks like it was invalidated. Okay, interesting. Let me see, let me try once again. Because I'm pretty sure I tested it yesterday and it was not invalidating. Okay, yeah, so it's not invalidated in this case. Maybe that product, the first one, which I mean, the second one which I updated, maybe it was in the response. And now I would like to show you briefly ideas behind the implementation. So we are trying to make it non-invasive and make it a separate module. And ideally, you should not even know that the cache is there. Like your implementation, your resolvers should not be modified for it. And we had to make a couple changes. One of the changes is enablement of get queries. Now it is done somewhere like in GraphQL module, but this is a generic change which probably is not specific to cache, so we just enable get queries. Also, we have to somehow let GraphQL know what queries should be cached. And for that purpose, we have to modify schema. So we decided that it's better to have some declarative way of declaring cacheable queries. And let me find catalog GraphQL. So we can do something like this. We can say for products field, there will be cache tag, and this cache tag is actually the same which is currently used for product model. Like if you look at product model, you can see that cache tag for product model is the same. So basically that's where I took it from. And this is important if you want to keep cache invalidation working for GraphQL queries and HTML regular HTTP queries same way, like if you don't want to introduce custom cache invalidation logic. Obviously, this can be moved to custom module if you want to do modularity, because our schema is modular. So then next important point is how do we actually add cache headers and how do we generate tags? Because if you just add this tag to all products, it means that you cannot achieve the scenario when your cache will be invalidated only if one of the included products will be modified. Because basically, if all product queries have same tag, you can invalidate all of them together only. And to achieve this, we have to actually add cache headers after dispatch of GraphQL front controller. And first of all, we check, is this GET request? Yes, then we add headers. And second, do we have any tags? And that is tricky part, like how do we get tags relevant for specific query, because you may know that GraphQL has a lot of resolvers, and you never know in advance what resolvers will be executed for specific query, because you can basically construct your query as you wish. And the tricky part is how do we get those cache tags. And for now, the idea is that we can add one plugin for resolver interface. It's after plugin for resolver interface, means it will be executed after any resolver in the system will process the query. And then what we can do, we can, so for now I don't have reading from the schema implemented, but what we can do, we can just read from this schema. We can check, first of all, if this directive was declared or not for specific resolver. And second, we can see what tag is supposed to be used. And then what we do, we somehow extract IDs of entities which are present in specific resolver. And in case of products, we need IDs of products. In case of, let's say, resolve categories, again, we need just IDs of categories. And that's how our cache tags work right now in our page cache. So we just take cache tag for entity, and we append ID of the entity with underscore, and that is a list of additional tags which can be used to flush cache for this query. And the idea is to make it non-invasive, and the only way which I can think of for now is to make it convention-based. So we can have convention that, okay, either we will add some array of IDs in the resolver. So basically, if you look at some resolver, like this one, this is products resolver. So the convention would be, okay, if you don't have IDs by default in the response, you have to add them. So this will be like partially invasive technique, but at the same time, if you disable cache module, nothing will be broken because of that. So this will be like one of the ways. Second, we will say have convention that we might have items like here, and then each item will have ID as key in associative array, and we just extract those IDs. And that is actually what was working for our products right now, because we know that we have items. And we can actually add these rules. We can make it, we can add extension point and make it possible for extension developer, if they have custom resolver which has different rules for extracting IDs, they can add these extractors, they can declare them, and they can use it. Another way could probably be if you have just an array of entities as a result of resolver, we will just look for ID field in each item of that array. And as soon as we identify what IDs are resolved by this specific resolver, we can just construct all these cache tags and declare them in singleton class, which just holds this tag. So basically, this class adds tags, and then this plugin, and the other plugin consumes tags, and it is all part of single module GraphQL cache, and it means that you don't have to create any modifications potentially in existing resolvers, or you don't have to create, let's say, catalog GraphQL cache or customer GraphQL cache, or like, I'm sorry, so for customer probably doesn't make sense, but let's say CMS GraphQL cache. So that's the idea. So do you have any questions or suggestions?
Looks like way with some extractor will be more preferred, because some entity could not have ID in this identifier. So it will be great, as you say, to have extension point, and anybody can change behavior of extracting.
Yeah, but like as I said, like the only limitation, IDs must be somewhere in the resolver result, because if there are no IDs, then we don't have a way to tag those entities. So this is restriction, but at the same time, IDs could be present in different elements in the response. So we can create extractor which know where to look for those IDs, but IDs must be there. And the other option, which I believe is less preferable, is probably implement some interface by resolver. Let's say we have this identity interface, which is currently used by our blocks and entities, and then it is used by page cache module to get a list of those tags. So basically, identities is a list of tags. And it could be possible to say, now product resolver must implement this identity interface, but it will be like invasive, and you will not be able to have cache as separate module. Like it will be a requirement to have it as part of GraphQL module. And that's why I don't really like this idea, because we will have to impose these restrictions. Okay, so if no other questions for now, you can still go back to this task, and you can leave your comments if you like, or otherwise I will probably continue working on this prototype, just clarifying some details, and at the same time we'll probably start creating tasks for known parts of implementation, like add support for get queries, because we know that most likely we need this anyway, so we will just create tasks for this. And for other pieces, we will probably get more details on the next meetings. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And finally, last point from my side, I share some information about current pull request, what is progress, what is merged. First of all, I would like to say that we merged pull requests with some performance improvements. You remember previous demo, we shared some demonstrations, so I will show only a result of internal performance acceptance build. And you can see that after merging this pull request, we have a significant improvement, like 30%. Now this pull request is delivered to 2.30 release, but it will be synced in nearest future. So I am working right now on some conflicts between 2.30 and 2.3 develop branch, and I believe this functionality will be merged in current develop branch today, maybe tomorrow. Also, we have a few pull requests. These pull requests are close to finish. I communicated with Yaroslav Rogoza. He is going to demonstrate some final result of GraphQL shipping address setting during checkout, and manage address book. This pull request is finished. We already demonstrated it, but we need to change some contribute fixes. And I believe we also can demonstrate some functionality in wish list. Oh, looks like that's all. And yes, of course, we have a lot of free tickets. I am going to Contribution Day at Romania at this weekend. And after that, maybe also I visit Unconf. There will be 2 days Contribution Day. And I believe we need to prepare some task. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And finally, we have a few tasks still in progress related to adding different product types to shopping cart. As I said, we had some stops in our work related to event in Barcelona and Munich hackathon, but all of guys will back at home and we will continue our work. By the way, I see Vitaly Boyk on the call. Vitaly, do you know some updates from Yaroslav about GraphQL shipping address coverage?
Hi guys, actually I haven't any updates from Yaroslav because he now on conference and probably.
But conference is finished.
But he's still somewhere, and in flag status he still has Spain flag turn it on. So I don't know.
I mean, I saw him there. There's, that's a Barcelona. It was rainy. I guess now it's sunny again. So you can expect your pull request in a couple of weeks, I guess.
Thank you, guys. Looks like they all. Maybe some other also have questions, updates.
Yeah, I also would like to mention that we merged that performance improvement for products, and now they work much faster, especially on larger profiles.
Okay, guys. So see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.